So today we'll continue with immunization. Immunization means it is acquiring immunity, inducing immunity. What is immunity? Immunity is our body's capacity to fight against diseases. Immunity is our body's capacity to fight against diseases. So, from morning to evening, we breathe in air, we take food inside. So, there are millions of microorganisms that are entering our body. But still, we are not getting infected with the disease. What is the reason for this? Because our body has some immunity for itself. In this immunity, there are types of immunity. First one is active immunity. Second one is passive immunity. In active immunity, again, there are two types. First one is natural immunity. Second one is artificial. The same way, passive immunity is also divided into natural immunity and artificial immunity. What are all these? We'll discuss one by one. First one, active immunity. First one is active immunity. What happens in active immunity? In active immunity, first one is natural. What happens in natural active immunity is natural active immunity, we get infected with any pathogen. First, what happens? We get infected with any pathogen. It can be a viral, it can be a bacterial. Our body identifies this pathogen. How our body identifies this pathogen is whether it is a bacterial pathogen, whether it is a viral pathogen, or it can be a protozoan. All these organisms have some proteins on their body. Okay, let us take for example bacteria. Outermost membrane is cell wall. On that cell wall, there are some proteins. Next to that cell membrane is there. Cell membrane has certain proteins. Virus particle, the outermost coat of virus is having some proteins. These protein particles that are present inside, you take the protozoa. Protozoa is also having. You take whether it is any amoeba or it can be any protozoa. All those organisms have membrane. In that membrane, definitely proteins are present. These proteins that are present in pathogens are nothing but antigens. Okay, any protein from outer source, if it enters directly into blood, our body identifies this as a pathogen. Okay, generally we take proteins into our body through our digestive system, not like that. If any pathogen enters into our blood by some other source, then that organism's protein is identified as antigen. As antigens enter our body immediately produces antibodies. So we have discussed about white blood cells. In white blood cells, there is a type of white blood cell called as lymphocytes. These lymphocytes have capacity to produce these antibodies. When will it produce antibodies? Only when antigens enter our body. If any antigens enter our body, then only this antibodies are produced. Okay, antibodies are produced only when antigens enter our body. This type of immunity in which antigen enters our body, antibodies are produced naturally, is called as natural immunity. Okay, these antibodies fight with antigens. When antibodies fight with antigens, two things can happen. If antigen is killed successfully, then we are free from disease. If antigens are not killed by antibodies, then what will happen? We get infected and our disease increases. Okay? So, when our body is not producing enough antibodies to kill the antigen, then only we get infected. If our body is producing enough antibodies that antigens are killed, then we are free from the disease. This is natural immunity. How active artificial immunity occurs? Active artificial immunity. Artificial is something that's not occurring naturally and from outside, external source. We are supplying, we are supplying our body some vaccines. In response to this vaccine, our body will start producing antibodies. How is it possible? I'll say you the reason. Vaccines, what is present in vaccines? Either it have live attenuated pathogens, or it will have inactivated or killed pathogens, or it have inactivated toxins. These are again having proteins. Take for example, what is live attenuated pathogen? A pathogen is produced in a required quantity. After that, the what do you say, virulence of that pathogen, disease causing nature of that pathogen is killed either by removing the disease causing particles from its body. Okay, what are the disease causing particles? I said your antigens are removed from these organisms. Take for example, bacteria is taken. This bacteria's cell membrane have some antigens. These antigens that are present on this cell membrane are removed from this bacterial cell wall, bacterial cell membrane. As a result, this pathogen will not have capacity to cause disease. But our body identifies this microorganism and it produces, okay, this is disease causing pathogen. There are other pathogens, this is disease causing antigen. There are other proteins also. These proteins are identified and antibodies are produced, right? So, in live attenuated pathogens, what happens is the particle that causes disease only is removed, but still it has some proteins. Our body identified those proteins that are present in the cell membrane and it produces antibodies. As a result, our body develops the antibodies. So, these antibodies are present in our blood pool, they are present in our blood and they have memory. So the very what is the best advantage of the antibodies is they have memory. Once you are infected with a disease, take for example smallpox. If a person is infected with smallpox, that person will not be person will not be infected with that same antigen again in the life. What is the reason? These antibodies have memory. So that is the reason why you take the examples of measles also. A person infected with measles will not get infected again. The reason our body is, our antibodies are having memory. Next, inactivated or killed pathogen. The pathogen is taken, collected in sufficient quantities. It is killed with the help of either heat. It is killed with the help of either heat or by radiation or by application of chemicals. These pathogens are killed. Once they are killed, they are again administered into our body in the form of vaccines. So our body identifies these pathogens as normal pathogens. It produces antibodies and we are developing immunity against it. Inactivated toxins, only these toxins are removed from the organism. Okay, and these toxins are induced into our body. When these toxins are induced in the body, again they are pathogens only, but they are not able to cause disease. Why? The complete organism is required for causing disease. Only the toxin itself cannot cause the disease. This inactivated toxins are induced in the body. As a result of this, antibodies are produced and our body is able to defend against that disease. Okay. So in this way, vaccines are helping us to develop antibodies in advance. Vaccines are generally given in advance. So as a result of this, antibodies are developing in our body in advance before we are getting infected. So this helps us to fight against the diseases. This is artificial immunity. Now let us see passive. How passive immunity develops. Second, passive immunity is a type of immunity in which that organism or pathogen does not enter our body directly, only the antibodies are administered into the body. Directly, antibodies are administered into the body. How this can be done? One is, so this is artificial. Okay, first we'll see natural. In natural passive immunity, for example, baby is infected with the disease. Fetus, baby in mother's womb is infected with the disease. At that time, mother's body will produce antigens. Why? There is connection between mother's blood and baby's blood. So the baby's pathogens will also enter into the mother's body. As a result of that, mother's body will produce antibodies, and these antibodies enters into baby's body. Here, baby's body is not doing any effort to produce these antigens. So this in this method, we can see that very passively, without any active participation of the baby, antibodies are produced. So this is called as passive, natural passive immunity. This can happen artificially also. How artificially? The pathogen that causes disease are injected into some other organism, experimental organisms like horse, rabbits. In these organisms' body, the pathogens are induced. As a result of this, they produce antibodies. The antibodies are present in the blood of these organisms. The blood is extracted and allowed to stand for some time. This is the blood with antibodies. Whose blood? Horse or rabbit's blood into whose body pathogens are induced. This blood is extracted, allowed to stand for some time. What will happen? All the blood cells, solid particles of the blood will deposit at the down. They get settled down. And the clear liquid floats above the solid particles. This is called as serum. Okay. When all the solid particles in the blood are accumulated down, the liquid that floats up is called as serum. Okay. This is so these are solid particles. Now this serum has antibodies. Antibodies are the chemicals which are soluble in the liquid part. They are not solid particles. So they are present in the serum. Now these serums are given as injections and they are called as serum injections. Okay, serum injections. Second thing is inactivated antitoxins. Inactivated antitoxins all right. L-Rabit and L-Ribase. First one is serum injections. Second one is inactivated antitoxins. The same way how serum injections are produced. Toxins are induced into any animal's body like horse or rabbit, chimpanzee, etc. And when these organisms produce antitoxins, these antitoxins are present in blood. The same way how serum is extracted, here also antitoxins are separated from the blood and they are induced into the body of individuals who are infected, who are affected. Okay, so these are the different methods by which immunization can be obtained. Let us sum up. So, immunization can be active or passive. In active immunity, organism itself, that means infected person itself, produces pathogen. Infected person, sorry, produces antibodies. In passive immunity, someone is producing antibodies and providing it to infected person. Okay, antibodies are induced. Antibodies are induced, or you can say administered. Okay, so in passive immunity, in active immunity, again there are two types: natural, artificial. Natural infection occurs, in natural infection occurs and antibodies are produced. In artificial, vaccine is given and antibody are produced. Right? In passive, again natural is there. Artificial is there. In natural, mother to baby, directly antibodies are reaching. In artificial, it can be by serum injection or it can be a antitoxin injection. Okay, so let us see some of the examples of this. Artificial vaccine is given, for example, in case of cholera. And serum injection is given for Ebola disease. Antitoxin is given for tetanus or diphtheria. So you know these diseases, cholera is an infection that occurs because of drinking impure water and it leads to excessive vomitings Ebola is a disease that is caused because of Ebola virus, and it may lead to damage of internal organs and internal bleeding occurs. And tetanus is when you have wounds and wounds are getting infected with bacteria, that leads to tetanus. And diphtheria is nothing but whooping cough. So for these are the examples of the different types of immunization. Now let us go to first aid. First aid is a very simple topic. This is a first immediate help given to a person. First immediate help given to a person affected either to save life or to reduce the impact, reduce the impact that is caused because of various reasons, or to increase the survival chances till the medical help arrives. So these are the different reasons why first aid is given. And first aid, we'll discuss various situations when first aid is to be given. For example, animal bites. First aid for animal bites. Animal saliva has some infection, so the animal bite should be washed with soap, and antiseptic is to be applied. If the bleeding is if there is some bleeding, some bandage also is needed to be applied. But beware, if this is a dog bite, this is not enough. Dog bite is more dangerous. Dog usually, there is a habit in dogs usually clean their back area with their tongue, so there is a lot of infections, bacterial infections over the tongue of this dog. So generally, if dog bite is there, then you should immediately go to the first aid center and get the what do you say, injections that are required to get. If it is a snake bite, the person should be laid down, and that area where there is snake bite should be squeezed a bit. Squeezing should be done, and a cloth or bandage, something should be tied above that wound. Okay. Why? What happens if you tie? There will be a decrease in blood supply, blood circulation will decrease, and the spreading of the venom can be stopped to some extent. And after that, what you need to do is rush him to hospital, or doctor doctor can arrive at that point. So medical help should be provided. Next, cuts or wounds. If there is some cut or wound, for cuts and wounds, the area should be washed with soap, antiseptic should be applied, and then, if required, bandage should be tied over it. If it is a burn, immediately cold water, that place where the burn has occurred should be allowed, it should be held under the cold water for some time. After that, immediately something like, what do you say, Some alkaline substance like baking soda should be applied. This can prevent the cause of those bruises, that bulges that form will be avoided to some extent if something like baking soda or baking powder is applied. And that bruises should not be allowed to break. If it break, it is very dangerous. If it is not breaking, it will take time to reduce, but it will be reduced it takes some time, but it reduces. But if this bruises break, it may be dangerous. So at that time, if bruises break, what you should do at that time, you should apply some antiseptic powder like povidone iodine or neurosporin. There are some antiseptic powders available in the first aid centers. Those can be applied over that. That helps to prevent any further infection of that. Next, fainting. If a person faints suddenly, that person should be allowed to lay down comfortably, lay down comfortably, and breathing should be checked whether the person is breathing or not. If the person is breathing, then legs should be raised and allowed to stay for some time. If the person is conscious, if the person is conscious after fainting, if the person is having some consciousness, then you can give him something to drink. But if the person is not conscious, then nothing should be given to drink. Water also, nothing should be given unless the person is conscious. If the person is conscious, then some drinks like it can be coconut water or it can be any ORS, something can be given so that the person returns back to normal. Next, if the person poison injection. If a person has taken poison, immediately that person should be given salt water. Heavy salt water induces vomit. If you give water that is full of salt, then it leads to vomit. And forced vomiting should be performed on that person. And after that, depending upon the poison that is taken, yes, salt water. So depending upon the poison, that should be intimated to the doctor and doctor's advice should be taken. Right. If there is any bee stinging, if a bee stings, in case of bee stings, the bee sting should be removed. If there is any sting, if you touch, there will be the sensation of the bee sting. That sting should be removed and sting should be removed. After that, squeeze out some of the blood. This removes out any venom that is present there. After that, apply some alkaline substance like baking soda or lime, something like that. This reduces the irritation feeling. There is, bee sting has some acidic substance in that. When you apply something like baking soda, that reduces, neutralizes it and reduces the irritation that is caused because of it. Next, if a person has heart attack, that person should be allowed to lay down and the clothes should be loosened and immediately doctor's help should be provided. So immediately doctor help should be provided. And lastly, drowning. If a person has drowned, that person should be allowed to lay on the back side. Okay, back side means, back should be up and the front part should be down. This face should be tilted sideways. Face is tilted and force should be applied on the back of the person so that whatever water is there, that is coming out. Okay, force on back. After that, some artificial breathing should be supplied. So this first aid topic is very simple. If you go through them once or twice, you can understand it very easily, children. You can remember that also, right?